Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Sammy Thunder here. Welcome back to the channel. I go to a lot of the card shows and I see a lot of Willie Mays cards. Every dealer, a lot of them have them. And it's always a little daunting because some of those prices, Willie Mays kind of commands a premium, it seems. And it seems like a lot of those cards are always out of reach when it comes to those prices. But I've come to notice that there's been some trends in terms of what certain years are going for. Certain years seem to go for a little bit more than others. And especially, there's obviously the trend when you go all the way back to his 1951 or 52 cards, they become incredibly expensive. But when you go later in his career and you want to have a Willie Mays card in your collection, they are feasible and for a good price in what I would consider to be a respectable condition. So I picked out 5 cards that I think are budget worthy Willie Mays cards, and some of which I think will come as a surprise because people, I don't know, in my mindset initially, I would think Willie Mays cards, 50s, out of reach, really expensive, and you really kind of have to step into the 60s if you want to get your toes wet with Willie Mays cards. But that's not the case. So I'm going to jump right into it here. I want to show you the first one. This is a card that I found on VCP, and this one's sold for $90. Now, obviously, this is not going to be the case for every single SGC5 that exists, but it's pretty remarkable. And we look at the card closer up. Very respectable. It's a tough card to kind of get really nicely centered, but this is a really nice version of a solid condition card for $90. This was an auction, 11 bids on eBay, and it's a great looking card that you can get for under $100. This is a mid-grade Willie Mays 68, and it's a great card in my mind. I really like this one a lot. Whenever I see it, it always jumps out at me. And it's later in his career, obviously, but still a very, very nice looking version of a mid-grade card that you can get for under $100. On average, I think this card ranges probably somewhere in the low hundreds, but to find one it's possible. You can find one, and this is a good representation of exactly that. Here's the next one I'm going to show you. A 1965 Topps Willie Mays. Also, this is an SGC4, but look at that condition. Look at that centering there. Left to right, top to bottom is very, very nice. If you are not a person that really cares too much about the corner condition, you want something that just pops out at you. This one, it was an auction, sold for $116.19. I think that's a great price for this card with this centering. I think whoever got this got a great deal on it. And a 65 is, one of his more popular cards in the hobby. This was actually the first set that I built was the 65, and the Willie Mays was one of, I love the purple on this card. The purple just kind of really fits in so well somehow with the pennant of the Giants with their colors, and somehow just really hits nicely. So obviously, like I mentioned before, with the 68, the price obviously may not reflect entirely because it's as 116.19, but this one I would say probably jumps around an SGC4, probably jumps anywhere between 100 and 150 or something, or maybe a little more than that. But the deal is there are deals out there that are possible that you can get this for this sort of price. Moving right along, a 1964 Topps Willie Mays. Another nice card. I actually think the 65 just based on what I've seen from shows, seems to be a more popular card than this. The 65 seems to be more popular than the 64. I don't know what it is about it, but 64 is a nice one too. And this one is a 5, and I think this is a great looking card to get for just over $100. And I think a 5 probably ranges a little bit, considerably more, I think, than this. But To find this in this price range, I think is a really nice budget buy, in my opinion. If you're trying to budget, let's say a couple $100, and you want to buy a couple Willie Mays cards, you could definitely do it. Do not feel like they are out of reach. Because yes, while this might be an exception for 105.50, they're not. I don't think they're going to be considerably that much more, especially in the condition that this is in. This one kind of, the last two surprised me a bit. Look at this beautiful looking 3 from 1958 Topps Willie Mays SGC 3 for just over $100. This is remarkable. And again, if you're not a stickler about soft corners, then this is a great card for you because, I mean, this is a tough card first off to find centered as well. I've found that a lot of times when I'm hunting for this card, it is always a little off center. Obviously the top to bottom. To me, it bothers me more when the left to right is really noticeable. Top to bottom is not as bad to me, but even though there is an apparent difference between the top and bottom, this card still looks really, really nice. And this one for auction at $108, it's a great deal. So do not think that a 58 Willie Mays or like a lot of the late 50s cards are out of reach, because you could definitely get them for a good price if you just carefully look and see what they're going for. And this is a good example of a really nice looking card that sold for a really good price. The last one, a 1956 Topps Willie Mays for $132. This is going, as you're going back in time, obviously the 55 and 56, these are incredibly popular cards, and these are actually going up in price. So this one might be the exception to the rule, because this is going to be a needle in the haystack sort of buy. But man, oh man, look at that. A 1.5 on this beautifully centered card, left to right, top to bottom. There's a little bit of paper loss there, but who cares? I mean, this card just screams just great presentation overall. So, you know, yes, this card is jumping up in price. This might have been an exception at $132. I would not count it out. It's still, I think, very possible that you could find one in a great price. And you really just have to kind of keep a close eye on these cards, because sometimes a lot of these low-grade cards will not price as high as you think they will. So I think this is I mean, to me, the paper loss is so marginal in comparison, because if the paper loss, I think, was if it was on like his face here or somewhere on the action sequence, it might, to me, it would probably affect it a little bit more. But to me, having it on the border is not that bad. So for $132 for this 1.5 56 Mays, I mean, that to me is an absolute steal. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. When I was doing my Willie Mays Topps run at the time, I would have jumped all over those deals. Those are really good budget bargains, in my opinion, when it comes to building a Mays collection. And I mean, I think with all those 5 there, I mean that equals out a little, I don't know, maybe about $600-700. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of money to a lot of people. So, you just gotta just take your time. As a lot of people say, it's a marathon, not a race, so or a sprint. So, but the variety is out there, and it's really worth taking the time to look at a lot of these price guides, or 130 Point, eBay, or if you have VintageCardPrices.com, you can sign up and pay a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription. It does help, because it kind of puts a lot of things in perspective in terms of how much cards are going for based on market value on auction sites as well as eBay. So there's a lot of great variety, a lot of great options out there to look, but you have to do it in order to see what cards are going for, and just kind of enjoy the process. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Card show Sunday tomorrow, and Garfield, please, if you're around in the area, definitely come out. I have a lot of great stuff to share, to sell for tomorrow. So I'll leave a flyer later this evening so y'all can check it out. All right, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.